Hello, everyone. Hello. All right. So, welcome to the fifth day of WISE, but the first official day of WISE, I guess in a sense, or first day or fifth official day. I don't know how to put it. So, you're here because you've chosen to embark on this program where you can pursue a passion of yours and learn more about a field of study that may interest you as a career or may interest you as a hobby even, and find out what you might want to do when you after you walk across that stage in June and leave Woodlands High School. So the way things are going to run today, both Ms. Rell and I are your coordinators. We're here to help you and facilitate this program as it goes. We also have a few guests with us. Some people are former students that did WISE. Some people are administrators from our central office. Some are board members. We have building administration represented. We have some other teachers who are serving as mentors, and some other teachers who are here just because they're fans of the program and are here to help you also. So, Ms. Rell.
I'm very excited about this event. Thank you all for coming. This event's really the stepping stone for your journey that you're going to take in life. The WISE program has really helped many students to become successful, especially students that you know that graduated already. I actually reached out to a bunch of my students who had graduated, and I texted them all last night, and I got in contact with a couple of them, and one student, Clarice Cruz, actually told me that she did her WISE project on Zumba, and that now she's a certified Zumba instructor making between $48 to $55 an hour, and that she really credits the WISE program to this. So I hope that the WISE program really helps you in your careers, and that's our overall objective. Mr. Smith, did you want to come up and say a few words? Or?
Sure, if you want me to say a few
Awesome.
words. Good morning, guys. How we doing? All right. I'm excited to see some faces in here getting involved with WISE. I'm looking forward to your final WISE project, which will be very interesting of what you guys are able to produce. It will take you through a journey that might lead you to something in your life, could possibly change the trajectory of your life, and being focused on your career. You know, we have a few more months with you guys, but I'm excited that you guys are moving on to bigger and better things. I can't wait to see what you have in store for us today. But yeah, welcome, guys. I'm excited for you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Minch or Mr. Gallivan, would you like to add anything? Or, sorry to put you on the spot. But,
Just thank you for the invitation. Excited to be here always. Sign of a healthy and great place to be going to school is the kind of learning that happens inside and outside of the classroom. So wonderful to be part of this ongoing work that you all are doing and you all are starting. So congratulations to you all for taking this on.
And the only thing I can add to that is, use us as resources if you need be, or anybody else in this building or outside of the community, okay? Because your success is important to us. So congratulations, best of luck.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for inviting me. This sort of comes full circle for me because as your coordinators know, I was a WISE student, and the things that I learned during my experience through that individualized educational experience. At first, I went into it just being excited not having to come to school. I was just very excited about that. I say, I can learn anything I want and I don't have to come, which was my motivation. But when I got into it, I really learned some things, and it sort of set the table for the rest of my education. I was able to work a lot more independently, find things, find courses, even create courses. Once I got to grad school, I was literally creating courses that did not exist because it was what I needed. And I learned that through the independent study that was the WISE program. So I think you guys are very fortunate to be taking place in this, and good luck. If you need any advice or any questions, there's me. There's a bunch of people in this building who not only are alumni but actually went through the WISE program, who'll be more than willing to share experiences and any advice that you might need. So congratulations on starting this.
Thank you. I'm going to now introduce, we got a few speakers coming up soon who some of you might know, some of you might not, but that's all right. First person I'm going to introduce to talk about the philosophy of the program is the man, myth, and legend whose vision was wise back in the 1970s. So Mr. Vic Leviathan is going to come up and talk with you.
Can anybody pump this up? So, all right, I'll do this. So you're my grandchildren. You know when WISE started? Anybody know, students? When did WISE start here in America? Woodlands High School. 70s, excellent. Which way? Low 70s, high 70s? Low 70s. Actually began 70 before it became WISE. It was called by something else. It was called Alternative Senior Project. And the board was so excited by that experimental process in a group of about 200 kids doing in the 70s as an experiment with 2 mentors and 200 kids for 10 weeks. We were insane from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. Mandel, what did you do for your project?
I was interested in playing football, so I studied weight training and bodybuilding and put on about 26 pounds of muscle.
That's a lot of muscle.
Yeah,
Yeah, did you enjoy it?
I loved it.
Okay, what are you
I
going
went to
to
the
do?
gym every day.
What are you going to do next week?
Next week,
Yeah,
decided to go-
we're now in a mentor situation.
Well, I'm sort of like overseeing the whole kit and caboodle here. So I'm not mentoring any particular student. But if anyone is looking for some expertise in this area, although I've been sort of unofficially mentoring Ms. Hannigan with something that she's working on. I'm not sure if that's going to be a WISE project.
So there can be a mentor and an additional mentor, and those of you who will be mentors, we have 20 or so kids, they will always be kids to me, who have done WISE projects. Would the people who have done WISE please come forward?
From behind the camera?
Behind the camera too.
Yeah. Come on.
Okay.
Holy moly, okay. So Mandel had the delight for me because I was his mentor.
Yeah. It was.
I was a pain in the ass. Well, that's what we're supposed to do. I didn't know that much. I was a coach, so I could help a little bit, but I had a few more years than he did in experience, and that's what you're going to get from your mentor. That's why you ask the person to be your mentor, will be a supporter, and you will have perhaps a lifelong friend. Imagine that. Last year in high school, be riding shotgun with you. And people used to come from all over the country. How are you guys doing this? How are you women doing this? Well, run after us. We'll show you. And the Board of Education, after the first experimental period, by the way, Frank, yes? Did you do a WISE project?
Yes, I did.
And who's this gentleman? I can't turn my neck.
Jonathan,
Jonathan. And when did you do your WISE project?
2010.
2010. Okay. So you'll go back. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When did you do your WISE project?
Same as spring, 2000.
7.
Oh, myself.
Come on, join the crowd. Otherwise, the
Alright.
men will take it over.
That, they do that for
And
everything.
women are rising. They've been rising all the time, picking us up. Anyway, this program is in its 45th year at Woodlands High School. Now, I want to promise from you guys that if I'm alive, I just turned 79. I came to Woodlands High School when I was 22. I didn't graduate from Woodlands High School. I was a teacher. And it was one of the most wonderful experiences that the teachers who opened up Woodlands High School thought we were going to teach the whole country. We have a campus, we have a tremendous diversity in our population, and some of the things we did were remarkable, and some of the things we did were not so remarkable, but they were real. So when we were doing this experimental WISE experience, but called ASP, A-S-P, when we started meeting over the summer, about 10, 12 teachers, students, and community members, paid by the Board of Education, paid in order to refine it and structure it, and then we were off and running in 73. So, it seems to me, I'm doing a count, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Brian, co-coordinators, where are you guys?
Yeah, they're back there.
Okay, is that more kids behind me?
No, there's a couple more, but
A couple more? So
For
what
various
do we
reasons.
got apparently?
20.
20, okay. How many of you have seen WISE presentations? Wow, okay. You know what? Why don't you talk to some of the people who may not have seen presentations, who are seniors, who may not know what is in store for them. Because some of them think that it'll be a light experience, some of it will be very difficult. It's what you make it out to be. And it was a tremendous, tremendous discovery for us, because everybody who was a senior in the first couple of years was in WISE. Everyone who was a senior, regardless of grade, regardless of great honors, valedictorians sitting side by side at presentations and evaluations, doing projects that nobody, including their parents, believed that my son did this, my daughter did this. I can't recognize her 3-4 months. Why? Why did it make such a difference? I want you to think about it. You don't have to do it right away. Why? Why were you able to do things that you couldn't do before? It was only 3 months before you were seniors. You're going to leave. Why did you do this extra work? Shall we ask the people who are WISE some time back? Let's try. Now, if you guys can come up with it, raise your hands. All right. So, Mandel,
Yeah.
why did you do this? Because you didn't want to go to school?
I don't want to go to school.
That's it?
I mean, that's what attracted me to it. I mean, let's
Don't
be
you want to write
honest.
about that in your journal?
Yeah, well,
Oh.
yeah, but what ended up happening was I heard about WISE in 9th grade, because I came to the district in 9th grade. So I heard about it, and the only thing I knew about it was you didn't have to go to school. That's the only thing I knew about it. And as I got older, they said, okay, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. So, 10th, 11th grade, you're making sure that all your credits are done, because WISE would substitute for English, social studies, and PE. So if you finish all of your other coursework and all your credits were done, you literally did not have to come to school. So that was big for me.
But you had courses that you still had to finish.
Of course, I still took them.
You still took them.
Yeah. I mean, because
You
you
weren't-
got because Barbara Glover's course was still here,
That's
and there were a
right.
couple of other courses.
Right.
So I still ended up coming to school, but it was, I had a different day. It was a different day, and the independence was really refreshing. I really enjoyed that piece of it, and I got to do what I wanted to do. You know, so that's all I wanted to do anyway.
Passion.
Yeah.
Passion.
Yeah.
And does it have to be for a career?
No.
See, that's one of the things
You
we
could just be
always-
satisfying intellectual curiosity.
Career.
Sure.
Work. Suppose you learn how to do Spanish guitar
Yeah.
on your WISE project. Would that be a terrible thing? We had kids do that. Kids went on hikes. They went into areas where they spend the night over a weekend, surviving from the land, and in the area that we live. All right, Frank, what did you do?
Did a composition and performance, which I do
Composition,
professionally now.
music.
Music, yeah.
Now, are you involved in that area?
Yep. I'm an adjunct teacher at Queens College. I freelance in the city and do shows and everything in between.
And if you didn't do that, would that have been a waste of time?
No, it wouldn't have been. If I didn't do that, it wouldn't have been a waste of time either. This is self motivation. It teaches you to be self motivated and pursue things on your own time.
And every once in a while, the parents would say, "Why are you going to do that? The musicians don't make any money." And you would say,
You can make money at it. You just gotta. Yeah, I know what you're doing.
okay.
That's the thing.
And you may not make a lot of
Yeah.
money, but you may enjoy it. God forbid that you may enjoy it the rest of your life. All right, thank you, Frank.
Michaela.
And what's your last name?
Henley. So, I think for me, when I was here, WISE seemed like a natural progression. I was super involved. I was in every club, top 10% of my class, taking APs, so just WISE resonated. I think what's really important for me about WISE is that I would say WISE, I was disappointed in what I ended up doing because it's like an independent study project. I was overwhelmed by the independence. And so I like outperformed in every other thing I did at Woodlands, but I would say I actually didn't, the lack of guidance and structure was really hard for me. So that was really interesting. It was an important takeaway. And actually why I'm here today is because I'm an alum, obviously, but I work for an organization that when I started working for them, I was like, this would be great for WISE. And it's something that if I had known about this partner organization, I would have wanted to do. I had done a photography project because of an interest. So like you said, you don't have to do it. I work in policy, so that has nothing to do with policy. So I did that, but again, the independence, while it sounds great, if you're not self-disciplined and if you're not structured and you don't have a plan, you could end up really wasting a lot of time. And so that was my takeaway from that experience, and I'm hoping today to meet some of you and actually talk about how I can make your project meaningful. Oh, thanks. He was at my presentation, and I think he actually said he was disappointed.
Well,
I think I remember we expected more of you, and I was like, so did I.
Well,
So did
I told you I was a pain in the ass.
It's okay. That stuff is important,
There
though.
are
It
other
really
things
is.
to do. You go to this museum, you go to this guy to interview. Come on, do it. You got 3 more months. Do it.
Yeah,
Do a
lasting
schedule.
impact.
Good, man. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan, what you do?
I did an internship at a tax law firm, which I did not like, but at least it helped me figure out that I didn't like tax law. But I did enjoy law.
Did you get to,
Bless
did
you.
you get to know how we get the president's taxes?
No, I didn't have,
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I knew I had an interest in law. That's why I decided to do an internship. Didn't end up liking the tax law, and then into college, I started going to different internships, different law firms. Went to an adoption law firm, didn't like that, and then I ended up doing an internship in immigration law. But the WISE project jump-started that into the different internships and knowing, okay, this is how I find an internship, this is who I reach out to, and the connections that I made at the tax law firm.
Now, in advertising, could somebody help me out? I'm not too up on business. What is this called? This kind of
Networking.
what?
Networking.
Networking and advertising. And what is one of the most powerful kind of advertising?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Word of mouth by people who did it and can look you in the eye and say, hey, this is not something you don't do. You can change your mind. You might decide you don't like what you're doing a month into it, and that's not a disaster. You'll find something else to do that you might like better, and you change your project, and you work with your mentor very, very closely. And before I use up my 5 minutes, Steve?
I actually did video production, TV and video production for my wife's project.
And your brother?
Way back in '79.
Yeah. And your brother? And my son, 79.
Yeah, Jonathan did, I think he did music
Yes. With what group?
with Atlantic Star.
Atlantic Star.
Well, it was new band back then.
That's right. So
And
there's
then he
been
went on to do
incredible kind of stuff. And some of the earliest of the WISE project kids, remember, 1973, right? Official, are in their 60s, for God's sakes, almost catching me. And they've been very supportive, and they've made that happen for you guys. So if there are any people who have to get a few recommendations from you, and they're not here, you might want to ask them last chance, because the program is going to be supported. Look at the support system. And we have 15, 20 more teachers who did WISE projects right here. They're not all here, but
They're going to be
are
stopping in for the later portion.
That's
of it,
great.
So, yes.
All right, so the last thing I'm going to say is I'm going to give a gift to your two new mentors and to one of the people who is a WISE graduate. So the two mentors will have this.
Thank you.
And Christy. And Christy, I'm going to ask you to say a few words about the 9th grade, right?
Okay.
Because Mandel reminded me to get them. And where's Elizabeth? Elizabeth. Okay. Would you tell them what that is? And Christy, would you say a few words
I will.
about the 9th grade? And then,
We gotta get one.
okay?
We have to get
So,
Warner, and Warner's running
Just
out.
show them.
Ask me about my WISE project.
And all of you will get those when we manage to get them manufactured. And that'll be part of your gift to your fellow students who are young. Thank you for all the things you've done. Thank you for all the things the adults have done. And let's make it a new and a better 45 years. Right?
All right, thank you, Mr. Levitin. Thank you, past WISE students. I'm going to invite up now the president of your Board of Education, also WISE Steering Committee member and mentor to many WISE students in the past, to talk about some project possibilities that have been done. Maybe you'll find something that relates to what you're doing. So, Mr. Warner.
Hello. I've mentored, I think, 5 times. I'm going to show you really quickly 4 projects that I've mentored and talk about the backgrounds of those students
and look at and give you a chance to look at what they did and see if by example you can pick up things that you might be able to use for your projects. Okay. First project, Joe Nugent. Joe Nugent, you can see this gentleman here with his friends, was a very sociable fellow. When he was young, he was a gaming prodigy. You know, with those horrible first-person shooter games where you kill and blow up everything in sight? They actually have sports leagues for those. So teams of 4 guys with the screens in front of them and the microphones will sit there as a team and work to basically play capture the flag with a maximum of destruction online. And he was such a good league player that his team actually made it to 4th place nationally in the league known as Major League Gaming. And I think he was playing Halo. And he won a bunch of prize money as a young teenager, went out and bought a hot car, drove it too fast, got chased by the police, crashed the car, wasn't allowed to drive anymore until he was 21, okay? But he had an in with Major League Gaming because he was really one of them. So he wanted, when he got a little older, a little more mature, he thought, you know, I really want to look at and explore the business side of this Major League Gaming thing. And so he came to us with a ready-made internship placement. So we gave him a pass on the train to go down to Major League Gaming, which was in Manhattan. And the first thing they did is they made him process payroll. He wasn't that great at math, so he kind of messed that up a little bit. So they didn't do that anymore. But he had many other talents. One thing that was going on, he was brand new. So they had 1 cubicle available and 2 interns. So he had to win a rap battle in order to end up in the cubicle and not end up in the cardboard box of shame. And he was good enough. He was good at that because he also loved music and he was in love with electronic music and he also knew enough rap to prevail in that. They sent him to work play testing pre-release versions of Halo. So he would talk to the software engineers, play with versions that no one had seen yet and say, for League Play, I'd like you to change the software. Don't do this, do that. And they would make the game different. He was in heaven in that area. Okay. He performed marketing research. He put things on the website for Major League Gaming. And he flew to Cleveland to help run a competition. Could you move me forward one slide and then we'll come back to this? This is a standard Major League Gaming meet. So what basically happens is you come in and you set up all of these screens. You have the big screens so you can see what's going on. You have the teams sit here and look at their individual screens. You have a crowd that you kind of get pumped up. You have people that follow the teams of kids around and make sure they show up for their matches. And they work their way to the top. They award prize money. And then you break all the equipment down and you move on to the next town. So he got to do that once. They flew him to Cleveland, and he got to understand how that works and how that gaming system works.
Forward or back?
Go back. Okay. He won a Dr. Pepper 1 in a Million contest. Now, I told you the other thing he loved was electronic music. So Dr. Pepper had this photo contest, and the prize was a trip to and backstage passes to the Coachella music concert in California. And there were 2 things you had to do to win this contest. One was convince the marketing executives that you had a 1 in a million photo that they thought they could use to advertise Dr. Pepper. And the second was to get more people to vote for it online than anything else. So now move forward. Down here you see a photograph. So Joe just invited a bunch of his friends over, got a bunch of cases of Dr. Pepper. I think you have a handout, you can see it a little better. There's a guy with a motorcycle helmet. There was an electronic rapper, electronic music guru named Deadmau5. And so they had this person dressed up as Deadmau5. And so Dr. Pepper wants to sell Dr. Pepper to everybody in the world. And we kind of look like the United Nations, so this was perfect from their point of view. Second thing was he had to get people to vote for it. Well, he's sitting behind the scenes at the website for Major League Gaming. So, of course, he just goes, please vote for my photograph. And people, all the gamers all over the United States and the world voted for him, and he won. So he got to go to Coachella, He got the backstage pass. He got the special camera. He got the hotel accommodations, the limo to take him to the concert. You'll notice this picture here. Coachella is a large music festival, and if you look at the angle, he's taking the picture because he's up on stage. Okay, so he was very happy, and he got to do things above and beyond what he normally had to do in order to just complete his project. So he was really happy about that. For his final presentation, he did a pros versus Joes thing. He talked a little bit about the future of online gaming and what happens in networks, and then he brought in people from the league and let people locally play against them, and you got creamed, but you got to enjoy it and see what it's like to play against, pretty much a professional gamer. Okay, next project. Jamil Saunders, completely different personality. Jamil Saunders was a person who was thinking that he wanted to go into the military, but he wasn't sure about it. So he came to me and said, "Hey, I want to make a ghillie suit." And I said, "Great, what's a ghillie suit?" The ghillie suit is a camouflage suit, and it requires a tremendous amount of patience to put this thing together. It allows you to, basically hide in natural terrain so nobody can see you. And he spent hours and hours going through researching, manufacturing this ghillie suit. You start out with a uniform with you put netting over it. You attach lots and lots and lots of different colored strips of colored material so that you see it laid out here, so that when you put it all on, you lay it on the ground, nobody can see you're there. Okay. Then we took that and used that as an excuse for him to go and talk to people. So we arranged a field trip for him to West Point. It so happened that the son of a WISE coordinator was a cadet at West Point. So we arranged a field trip. I drove him out there. He got a tour of the whole facility. He got to shake hands with and interview the people in charge of a portion of our military cadets training at West Point. And turned out it wasn't for him. But the Greenberg SWAT unit also had something that he was interested in looking at because it's special weapons and tactics. So we took him there, and he got to show off his suit there. And he talked to the head of the SWAT team, and he liked it. He ended up majoring in criminal justice at the University of Albany, and I know he's graduated, and last I knew he was training to try and do the entrance program for the DEA. So it worked out for him career-wise. One last thing I should say about it. Next slide. The final project. So here he is lying here. Here you can see the ghillie suit blending into the background. We're Woodlands. We have woods. He wanted to show off to people, a final presentation to show and tell. So he wanted to show off the fact that there were principles of camouflage that the camouflage suit was just a part of. So we cut out a trail, or reopened a trail over by ECP. There's the water tower. We have a clearing here where we set up a couple of picnic tables, have people sit on stumps. He gave about a 15-minute lecture on principles of camouflage to everybody. We had a game in which you practiced spotting. So we had 3 people with various pieces of equipment hiding in the woods, and their job was to see what's printed on a sign on the back of another person without that person spotting them. So we made the person walk a short distance out, gather some colored golf balls off of a post and come back, and then they would come back, and if you could read, if there was a tie, then you could read the largest print to the smallest print. So this is the sign that's on the back. So from a distance you'd see Falcon's Rule. If you could see a little better, Pursuit of Excellence, or we can live together as brothers or perish together as fools. That's a Martin Luther King quote. Or no army, no country, small print. Then we run around to a point where people had an old, sort of like not a tent, but a shelter that you couldn't see. And then we hid various items in the woods using principles of camouflage. Finally, we circled back around and tied up the end of the thing. So when you go and do your project, think about, you don't have to just stand here like me and do our PowerPoint presentation. If your project lends itself to that, you can go out and show as well as tell. Next set of slides. Ricardo Rodriguez. Ricardo Rodriguez was a guy from the south side of Puerto Rico, a southern tip of Puerto Rico, and he then moved to the South Bronx, where he learned that he didn't like to show up to class a lot, and English was not his first language, so the big challenge for him was to learn to write fluently. And of course, the journal requires you to write a little bit every day. Now, we did have a reading coach working with him at the same time, and though he was a senior, he was in a junior English class. So we just kept helping him write, and that was the biggest thing. The thing that he loved was music, and he wanted to make his own electronic music and have rap over the top of it. So that motivated him. So we went through and did a couple of things. So he figured out the history of music recording, from the point at which the first gramophone was invented, all the way up to where, Dire Straits is sitting there with the first ever digital recording, and all the way up to present day stuff. And then at the same time, he was developing and recording his own rap music. Why don't we go to that next slide? Let's see if we can get this to run. And yeah, hit that. So he was able, with the help of his friends, rapping and him, to come up with this.
Playground kids. That is the charge.
Good enough. No, it's buffering, but you can turn it off. You get an idea what it sounds like, right? Okay, so by the end of the semester, with a lot of bumps and hiccups, he managed to get to that point. The other thing that was going on was that he was doing junior English, and he needed to do a research project for that. So I believe Miss Rella was his teacher at that point. And he had all this amassed research on the history of music. So we plugged one thing into the other, and we were able to do a kind of a crossover piece where he was able to complete his paper, his term paper, get himself through junior English at the same time that he was doing this. So that worked out very well for him. Next person. And we also, I should mention, the subject matter expert we had on hand was Jonathan Lewis, right? Steve Lewis's brother, who does the yearbook and was in Atlantic Star all those years ago. And that helped him out as well. Michelle Sanchez, A student, loved cooking and baking. Her objective in life was to get out into the world and be financially independent as soon as possible. Didn't want to wait for a four-year college. So she decided she wanted to do cooking and baking. We looked at, so how could she build up her skill set on cooking and baking? We looked at Southern Westchester Boise. She toured it. She said, no, not for me. So we looked around for something else, some other spot for her to do that. So we went and found that, I guess 30 years ago or so, another student who had been a WISE student now owned a restaurant, Harper's, over in Dobbs Ferry. We said, hey, we've got a WISE student. Can this student come work in your kitchen? And it's a high-end restaurant. So they said yes. So we arranged that so that she was able to drive there and do a bunch of internship. Meanwhile, she then was looking for what sort of college or vocational training experience she wanted. We took her over to Solomon Schechter, where they had a number of people who not everybody comes to our particular college. So you go wherever people are for the recruiting. And she found that of various places, that the Institute of Culinary Education, or ICE, in New York City was the place that she wanted to go. And so within 18 months, you can be done with your career, and then they give you a placement, and you end up working in the restaurant industry in New York City at kind of the high end. So that was a good success. She was able to say, hey, I'm doing this WISE project. That helped her. I have all this hands-on experience. In terms of the presentation, well, I guess we should flip. There were a couple of things that were reoccurring things. One thing she did on the side, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Cake Boss. It turns out that if you're willing to drive to New Jersey, you can take a class from them in the actual shop that you see on TV. So we set her up to do that, and she went in and decorated a bunch of cupcakes for them. She did a couple of other interesting things. Here is a chess set made completely of chocolate and molds, and the base is a cake. Here are a couple of our teachers playing chess with her chess cake. Here's a show that she did on the side with Mrs. Chinkamani. Mrs. Chinkamani she's middle school now. She's an English teacher. She's partially blind, so she paints what she sees and has a side business making very interesting looking pictures. And here's a sample of one of her pictures. And it sort of looks like, the world looks like Halloween Forest to her. And so at one of her art shows, we needed cakes. So of course, you see the color scheme of these cakes matches this. And you see there are even some silhouettes of trees on here. Horror. I have to say that Michelle, when she looked at Harper's, they happened to have a showing of The Shining, which is a horror movie. Here's Johnny, an axe murderer, basically. And she loved that stuff. So when she saw that, she said, "My people, I'm in. I want to work in this thing." And so you would see this recurring theme of the macabre and chocolate. And so you have for example, is a Scream cake that she did to go with the movie Scream. She gets to the end of the thing. She does the final presentation. Of course, you can't lose if you feed everybody. So she lays out some of her best work, and she goes downstairs, which we arranged for her, to make pot de creme. So the life skills room downstairs has an oven. So we take everybody down, and so you show as well as tell. She cooks a delicious dessert for everybody, and we get to eat it. End of story. She goes on with her career. All good. That's my time. Do you have any questions? I hope I showed you some examples of some things that you can do. Is this helpful? Yes. Okay.
Very helpful.
Thank you.
Lauren, thank you. Speaking of which, you can never go wrong if you have food. There will be food very shortly. It's back that way. All right. So we are going to just breeze over a couple of things here. My apologies. So we're about to get to the mechanics of WAS, but before we do that, I just want to introduce everybody real quick. As well as having teacher coordinators, administrative coordinators, we do have 2 student coordinators. This year is going to be Patrick Salazar and Diara Mack. Yes? Yay! Hey. Come up and give a speech. No, I'm kidding. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to make it. So if we need to communicate with you, one way we might do it is get the information to Patrick and Diara, and they will disseminate that information to all of you. If you can't get a hold of us for whatever reason, although we're pretty available most of the time, you can always get messages to them. So we are going to now get into the less interesting part of the presentation, but the most relevant in the sense of this is how you do WISE. So we're going to be talking about, I guess, journals to start.
So to start off with, we created folders for all of you on Google Drive. So if you go to your Google Drive, once you go to your Google Drive, if you go to Shared With Me, you'll see your name for the WISE folder. And in that folder, specifically, which is for you, you'll have 3 documents. You're going to have your journal document on Google Docs, you'll have your works cited document, and you'll also have your field hours for, field hours for your experience and also for physical education. So all of it's going to be done through Google Docs, which is perfect. The whole folder is set up for you. All 3 main documents are in your folder. Your folder is shared with your mentor and obviously with the WISE coordinators. To make matters most easy, what we recommend weekly, you should be updating this. Okay, so when you're doing your journals every day, you should be writing about either research that you found or experience that you did or someone you interviewed or maybe somewhere you went that deals with what you're doing your project on, and you should be writing about it. When you do those journals, okay, you should each day, you should label it by the date. Okay, so you could start, 2/4 or February 4th. and, you know, paragraph about what you did that day involving your WISE project. You could also include pictures, which we'll go over more thoroughly in about a second. You could also include pictures if you want. Also, for your works cited, very similar to what majority of you have been doing for your research papers, you know how to do it. Scholarly sources are what we recommend, but it could be research articles, it could be books, it could be people that you interview, it could be newspaper articles, it could be magazine articles, etc., etc. We recommend one type of research a week. And when you do it, you know, obviously read it, highlight it, and then your works cited, you're gonna cite it correctly. Google Scholar, we highly recommend that you use. We love Google Scholar. You're gonna cite the article and write very briefly about what you learned about that article, about how it's gonna help you with your research, okay, or what you learned from it. And then there's also your field hours, which you're gonna do weekly also. We encourage you for, throughout WISE, to try to do at least 40 field hours, and that's a new component, but that's great, because that's where you're gonna have the most fun. And some of you are gonna go way over that. That's for you to really, you know, to try to get out there and experience what you wanna do with your career. So per example, I'm gonna use Jair for an example, because he's my mentee. So Jair is doing nursing. So, Tracy Mears, who's amazing, and Miss Cintron, they know so many people. So they were kind enough to provide us with a list of people who had graduated that also did the WISE program. One of the people was Janelle Berridge. Janelle Berridge came through Woodlands High School, finished college already, she's already a nurse, okay? I contacted Janelle Berridge. Janelle Berridge was like, I would absolutely love to work with Jair, absolutely, with you and Jair. She's coming in on Monday. She's coming in on Monday, and Janelle, Jair, and myself, 5th and 6th period, are gonna sit down and we're gonna talk to her. And I'm sure at first, she'll sit there and she's gonna help us out. She'll probably tell us where she works, what she does, how she got into the nursing field, and more so, she may even be able to start with, you know, what classes she recommends that you take in college to help him with that path. And then maybe, hopefully down the line, I'm hoping, if where she works allows it, he could go shadow her and actually watch her hands-on and what she does with nursing. And this is what you want to be doing. You want to be doing research, but then you want to make it applicable. You want to apply it. You want to get into it, delve into it, do it yourself, so you could see if you like it. If you could see, this is what I want to do with my life, with my career. And it's going to go one or two ways. It's going to be something that you love, or it could be maybe something where, like you said, you want to change the, you know, the navigation of your path a little bit, which is totally fine. So the field hours, we only recommend 40, but some of you are going to surpass that, absolutely.
We require 40.
Yes.
Not recommend, we require 40, but you will all surpass it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jair will have at least 2 hours just with Monday. So, so that's another major thing we recommend. And also, it'll have, so it looks like this. So your field hours, on the bottom, there's tabs.
Down along here, you find the week that you're updating, and it'll come up like this.
Just like that, guys. So you select the day, the location, say WISE room, okay? The time that you spent there, okay? And then if you want to write the journal number that you're going to link it to, and then that's pretty much it. So in your folder, like I said, when you go to, everything's going to be digital. So when you go to Google Drive, you'll go to Google Drive, you'll go to Shared with Me, you'll see your name for WISE, and in your folder, there's absolutely going to be those 3 documents: the field hours, the journals, and the works cited. And that's the stuff that we recommend, and you need to do it on I promise you, if you update it at least once a week, everything, you're not going to be overwhelmed. It's going to be easy. All right? And you'll have tons of time in the WISE room. And that's pretty much what it looks like, but this is the new component that we're most excited about. And phys ed's easy. I mean, majority of you, you know, you do tons of stuff anyways, whether you're playing basketball, whether you're working out, whether you're practicing football on your own, whatever you're doing, you just log it. Okay? So because it's gonna cover phys ed, English, and it's also, we're gonna get into the PID component in a second.
And if I may, just on the phys ed aspect, be aware that's a state and possibly even a federal requirement, 2.25 hours per week. You must maintain at least that. All right? Like by law. So please make sure that you're logging that carefully.
Do you want to just pull up the journal steps if you want, Liz? Can we pull up someone's folder really quick? Is it possible to pull up maybe Jair's or? Okay, so really quick. Jair, sorry, we keep picking on you. So, right there. This is Jair McGuire.
Everything's sideways on me right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
So when Jair clicks on his folder, these are his 3 documents. Okay? His annotated works cited, which, you know, we recommend that you do something at least once a week where you're finding some type of new research. Whether it's an article, a book, you're interviewing somebody, something you saw in the news, etc., etc. Okay?
It's a journal entry that takes care of itself.
Absolutely. And also, you got to remember, if you're going to be meeting with people, you want to know your craft well. You don't want to just know the basic. You want to show, and even so, when you're doing your research, and then whoever you're meeting with, you can ask them questions, etc., etc. And then you'll have new stuff to look into. It'll just start snowballing. Okay? So there's the works cited, and then we went over the field hours and the log, the phys ed log, and then you can just click on the journals. So the journals, it's really just a blank document, but you're going to start with the date. Okay, so say even if like today, for example, everyone should start with today's date, and then a brief journal entry. Oh, I wrote that. I forgot I wrote that. Look, Jerry already said hi to you. You saw it already? So then you're out, and also you just reminded me. Poor Jair, he's gonna get a million notes from me. Your mentor obviously is going to be checking this on like a weekly basis, and especially me, poor Jair. Again, I read it daily, and I'll write comments back. So your mentor will be reading this. Same with us, your coordinators, and I would recommend everyone starts today. What if you didn't start already? Some of you did with today's date, and you blog about the WISE kickoff. Blog about this. What did you learn today? Okay? And that's going to start with that. So you start off with the date, and then you do your journal entry. You can include pictures, whatever you want, etc., etc. Right? Brad, you want to add? Do you want to talk about the
You
pick
should have been
component,
written in
or-
already. Your first journal entry should be your proposal. Absolutely. Your proposal that you submitted to me, or Ms. Rella, that you all submitted, should be your first journal entry. Some of you, your proposal is not long enough to be a journal entry. Please expand upon it. You know who you are. And what happens if you don't write every day? Nothing, as long as you have enough journal entries by the end, but you don't want to be one of those kids in May writing retroactive journal entries. Okay? Keep up with it. It does pile up. Questions?
How long do they have to be?
They should tell a narrative.
How many?
You want at least
They should
3
tell
or
in
4
there.
full ideas, where you're not just, I did this, but why did I do this, what did I think about it, that's a full idea.
How many in total are we
Yeah.
supposed to have at the end of the year?
What's the
One
number?
for
100?
every day of WISE.
So
Ideally.
every day until the end of the
You're probably going to end up, the model presenter, it was the first person to present, usually ends up with something in the neighborhood of 99 journal entries. And if you're, if you're presenting after that, you end up adding additional days because you stop writing your journal about a week before you present.
That has happened in the past.
That's not a problem.
That's between you and your mentor.
You just write about the fact that you changed your project. That doesn't
Let
mean
me-
the other stuff is invalid.
Can I qualify something here? All right. What does the E stand for in WISE? Experience. It's not a project. Okay? It's an experience. You write about the experience, the journey. Your project could be a complete failure. Your experience is a success. Okay? So you can always change courses.
Are weekends included in journals?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, should be. You can come back on Monday and write 3 entries. That's fine. But yes,
If the
weekends are
word
included.
day shows, part day shows up in the word, it counts. So that includes holidays, break days.
Mr. Fisher's still in there.
But it's exactly. Come out. Say what you just said a little bit louder, please. Well, Doug.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna edit.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what are you doing for your WISE project? Because that's going to deal with a lot of your journal entries. Just a little bit. Can you stand up for me, please, please? The camera
look
can't
so
see you.
comfortable.
You do. Just a little bit. Tell us about your WISE WISE project because that's gonna have so much to do with it.
Alright.
Thank you, Kamel.
Basically, I'm doing a wide project on filming, like, basically anything. So I'm gonna do it on, like, peer pressure and, like, high school confrontations.
So a lot of his journal entries are going to deal with the whole process of how you film and how you like cut parts of the film and connect. This is his expertise, not mine. But how like you cut parts of the film and you put it together, and how you use the technology to do this, etc. What's it called?
Jumping angles. More camera angles.
Oh, see, I don't even know. And also, that leads me to another factor that's so important. Your mentor is somebody who's going to guide you and help you set up the connections, but your mentor may have no idea about, about how to do your project or what goes on with your project. So you're actually going to be teaching your mentor. Like, I don't know anything about filming. Have no idea how to film, how to cut film or edit it, nothing. Same with nursing. But that doesn't, it's almost like you're becoming the facilitator and you're going to teach your mentor. And your mentor's just gonna help you get the connections to how to get more field experience. And the ultimate goal is that this really, like most people that you've legit heard, this is their stepping stone to start their career. It started many people's careers. Like I said, like Clarice Cruz, Zumba instructor, making $48 to $50 an hour. She loves it. Went for a certification, got it, everything. Does it after school, helps her pay for college, loves it. And then you're gonna have other people where maybe it has nothing to do with your career path, but it's just something that you're super interested in. I just wanna talk about one more real quick. One of my favorite WISE presentations ever was a joint one, kind of like you two are gonna wind up doing. It was with Melanie Weiner and Nicole Mancata. And they decided to do a digital yearbook. Nothing to do with what they wanted to major in, but it was the most creative idea ever, and from my understanding, no one had ever done it before. They did a yearbook that was a DVD. So they actually went live, like a live DVD. They actually went and they made sure they got the whole student roster for everyone that was in the senior class, and they had a checklist, and they went through and they made sure they filmed each person, and each person introduced his or herself and said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so," etc., etc., filmed it. They made sure they had a list of all the events that school year. They made sure they took at least about 30 seconds to a minute and a half clip of each event, each sports team, etc. And this presentation was unlike I've ever seen because everyone was crying. They went into the auditorium, they played the digital yearbook with the entire senior class there, and I mean, when I tell you everyone was in tears, you saw every person's picture, but live. Like, it wasn't just a picture. They were like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." You saw every event that happened that year. Everything. Every sporting event. Every sports team. Every club. It was just like a yearbook, but totally digital. No one's ever done it before. They played it. The whole senior class was crying. Even the boys were crying. And their gift to the class, they burnt a DVD, and they gave it to each kid. And everyone loved that DVD and kept it. So once again, it had nothing at all to do with what they wanted to do as a career, but it was one of the most memorable experiences, and no one ever forgot them. And it was just a great, great gift. Go ahead, Brad.
All right, we're gonna end it here, unless there's any general questions.
Because we want to make sure that you guys have enough time for lunch.
Individual questions.
Wait, can we just cover the pig part?
Okay.
Because we didn't do that. Two more minutes, guys, and then we'll let you go for lunch.
Participation in government, you'll see in which packet is it?
It's in the packet, in the major packet. Everything's in your packet, guys. If you have any questions, come to Elizabeth, Mr. Kennedy, myself. You all know where our classrooms is, or come here.
In the Google Classroom, you'll find the requirements for participation in government. You basically get to choose from a list of options. It's not just reading an article and responding. You get to choose from a list of topics. Some of them involve action, some of them involve research, some involve writing. Okay? It is pretty straightforward. If you have any specific questions about it, please come to see one of us, or your mentor will know what to do. Very briefly, because we invited a few guests, other teachers. Ms. Luonga just came in. Tell the kids, real quick, tell the young people real quick.
Really quick. I couldn't wait to get, I'm a former alumni, so I couldn't wait as a senior year to get into this room because it was exclusively for WISE students. But again, long line of family members that became, were WISE participants. So senior year, I wanted to do two things. My work for the African National Congress. At that time, African National Congress is a political party in South Africa. So at the time we were working to abolish apartheid, and there was a movement. Went down to the city through WISE, took a bus, then train, and then helped and gave out leaflets for the cause. And because of my hard work and diligence, I was actually awarded the gift of Yankee Stadium and seeing Nelson Mandela become released as a free man. So that was, thanks. So, I'm sure you've heard it and you know it, and I'm glad I see the faces so I know, so I'll be asking you questions on how it's doing, but just enjoy the journey and learn and grow and learn. And it is a great experience, and it will probably, I'm still talking about it, and we'll never forget it, so let's rock.
All right, everyone, so that food is for you. Stick around. Please meet face to face with some of our guests. They are here to help you find experiences in the field.